First of all, Boker Tov, good morning to Yair. You remember Yair? Yair. Yair. And so, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, Don Riley.
Okay, I'm going to open in prayer, and I'm going to ask different people each day to do so as we get going. Our prayers have been answered. Our ladies that came in super late are here. Everybody's here. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, this is the day that you have made. We will rejoice and we will be glad in it. And we thank you, Heavenly Father, for this first day of touring. Lord, give us ears to hear and hearts to listen. Help us to retain. Help us to learn. Help us to be open to change. Heavenly Father, we thank you for Yuval and Yair. And we thank you for each person that is here. Most of all, Lord, we're thankful for you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Philistines, I'll start from the south. It's Gaza, then Ashkelon, and then Ashdod. These three were on the coast. These three still exist with the same names. Then we have Gath, and then Ekron. So Gath and Ekron, the archaeologists are used to debate where this used to be. We have today modern cities that are called Gat, Kiryat Gat, or the city of Gat, and Ekron, but they are not. They are next to the archaeological site. The Philistines, they used to rule over the coastline. Does anyone know what is the origin of the Philistines? Because today, I am saying it because today you hear many times, and I will jump in and out to politics of today and of the Bible and all that, so I hope that I will not confuse you too much. But many people today try to say that the Palestinians are Philistines. So that's why I'm asking, does anyone know what is the origin of the Philistines? There is a difference between, listen what I'm saying, Philistines and Palestinian. Okay, so anyone have any suggestion? I know you know because you read probably the articles. So they know today because they did a dig in Ashkelon and they found remains of a baby that was buried probably in some corner of the house. Probably the baby died too early, so the parents kept it. That was probably common in those days. So they succeed to get a DNA. And where it goes to? Europe.
Really?
So the Philistines were not Arabs. They were not local people. They were from Europe, from probably the area of Greece, which is Europe, and they migrate during times when there were eruptions of volcanoes and drought. So they migrate probably via Turkey around and the Mediterranean and settled over here. And it's mentioned in the Bible. So it's good to remember that not everything ancient is what is existing today. The Philistines were wiped off. The Lord made sure to take them away, and there's no one that can say, oh, I'm a Philistine. And it's important to remember, because there are people that are claiming this land on the behalf of the Philistines. So here's a little bit bigger map than what you got, and we just left from here, from Ashdod. This is the Mediterranean. Today we're going to reach two seas. We saw already the Mediterranean, and we're traveling all the way down to Eilat, which is at the bottom of the map. And that's the most south city that we have. So Ashdod is here, Ashkelon right next to it, a little bit to the south. So north, south, west, east. At the moment we're traveling southeast. So we are we're making our way. So we are making our way towards a road that is called route number 6. It's quite a long road they're planning to have it almost all the way to the border with Lebanon, but at the moment it reached all the way to here. So it's the only toll road that we have in the country, and it's not like, I don't remember if in the States you still have those coin things, but like in Europe, in some places, like in Greece, you still need to stop and pay every section. Here it's all electronic, and you will see that there will be kind of bridges with very sophisticated cameras, and they take a picture of the number plate, and then the bill is sent to the company of this bus, or when as a private person you get it home, and it's quite cheap, but it's very convenient to travel on route number 6. So we will get on route number 6, we will make our way down south, we will pass by Beersheba. That's where Abram dwelt. How many wells? I told you already the answer. Sheva. 7.
Yeah, 7.
So 7 wells. So it's called Beer Sheva. It's written like beer, but it's actually not it's not beer, but it's water. So Abram dug there 7 wells. Later on Isaac took over, but Sheva in Hebrew is the number 7, but it's also the root for the word oath. And if you remember, Abram took an oath, or made an oath, or actually Abram had to come into a covenant with Abimelech, because Abimelech was the head of the gangs around and Abram was not, so he had to come into a covenant with him. Sometimes when you get into a covenant, it's because you are pushed into, not because you want. So many times if you read in the Bible, covenants were done with a strong and a weak. So you want to be always on the stronger side that offer the covenant, and not on the weak side that have to take the covenant and apply with it. So we will pass next to Beersheba, we'll continue down south, and then our first stop will be in a place called Sde Boker, which is down here. All this area is called the Negev Desert. It's also the name is mentioned in the Bible. So we are going to cross the Negev from northwest to the south. And so Sde Boker, then after Sde Boker we will stop at the Ramon crater, which is down here, and this is the largest natural erosion crater in the world. It's very impressive. I hope that the Lord will bless us with the wind, a little bit of wind, that it will clear the dust or the mist that there is over there, and then we will be able to see the whole crater. But it's really impressive, because we will be right on the edge. I mean, there are cable wires that prevent you from falling over, so we are not going over, but we will be right on the edge of the crater, and I will share with you how this crater was formed and what makes it so unique. Then from there, over there also probably we will have our lunch break to grab something light to eat, and then from there we will have another 1.5 hours down to Timnah, which is over here, where we will see a model of the tabernacle, 1:1 scale. So approximately the same size as the tabernacle in the wilderness used to be. That's what we're going to see in the afternoon. We will have a guided tour over there, and then from there it's another maybe half an hour, and then we are reaching down to Elat, where we will spend 1 night. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. So while we are traveling, you can see that everything is green here, but when we will start to get further down south, you'll see that it become more yellowish, and then later on in the day it will be all brown and rugged, because we are traveling into the desert area. Just a little bit about the country itself. Israel is smaller than New Jersey. Anyone from Texas? Israel can fit in Texas 39 times. Yeah. I haven't made the math of Memphis, but Texas I know. And California 19 times. So you understand that this is a very small country, only about 450 miles long and only about 60 miles wide, that's all. And part of it here in the center is the area that is called, people unfortunately calling it the West Bank. It's a political name, but so this area over here you can say is not so populated with Jews. Most Jews living down here on the coast, up here in Jerusalem, here in the desert, and in the north. So it's a tiny country, but many news shows are opening with something about Israel. We're bordering on the north with Lebanon. It's a short border. Lebanon is a Muslim Christian country, and we don't have peace with them. On the south of Lebanon, we have the Hezbollah, which is a terroristic organization. So every once in a while we have sometimes incidents when they shoot rockets and we respond and things like that. Then over here we have a border with Syria, and this area here is the Golan Heights, and it might be that you will see in some maps that there is here a border running. That's because that was the border before 1967. In 1967 we had the 6-day war. June, maybe some of you remember the 6-day war. It was kind of like a miraculous war because God did miracles. I mean, 6 days they fight, and then on the 7th day they rested. So it was a war that it's a miracle. I mean, to win a war against two strong armies, three actually, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt in 6 days. I don't know how to explain it except by a miracle. And then we have another very long border, the longest, with Jordan. We also share with them one world, not record, but a world phenomenon, and that is the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is the lowest place on earth. Sometimes you get bags as a gift, you see? Not only quails coming from, also bags. So the Dead Sea is the lowest place on earth, 400 meters below sea level, which is about 1,200 feet below sea level. This water, it's not for nothing, it's called the Dead Sea. There's nothing that is alive in it. Not archaeologists, all kind of biologists, they try to get samples from the deepest that they could. Nothing, no any organ can survive that solution of salts. Then so we have a long border with them. Part of it is on the northern part of the country, and part of it, most of it is on the south. With Jordan we have peace, and the peace was signed in 1994 with King Hussein, at that time Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, maybe you remember. Then a year after he was assassinated, and then the only one that survived that peace is Clinton. Bill Clinton was you can say the negotiator, and he's the only one that's still alive and kicking. Well, he is not, his wife is a bit more. Then in the south we have another border, another long border, and that's the border with Egypt. With Egypt we have a peace even earlier than that. That was signed in 79, and that was with Anwar Sadat, which was assassinated shortly after, Menachem Begin, which died out of old age. He was our prime minister, and then another person that is still alive, Carter. He's still kind of breathing, right? I'm not sure if he's a plant or not, but he's breathing because we didn't hear anything else. But whenever he talks, it's not good. I mean, on our behalf, he is not liked here. Jimmy Carter now is very, very unliked. So, and then you see that there's an area over here that I marked in black, and that is the Gaza Strip. Part of the peace agreement with Israel and Egypt was that we give a piece of land in the Sinai Peninsula and we receive as a gift the Gaza Strip, with more than 1 million people that are living in the most crowded area in the world per capita. So it's quite a problematic area. There is a terroristic organization called Hamas that took over because it was given to the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and they were supposed to run this place and territories here in the center of the country. But unfortunately, Hamas took over, and they run the Gaza Strip, and also with them, every once in a while, they shoot rockets to sometimes to Ashdod or Ashkelon, and to the small cities around here, and then we have it's escalating. We had it just last May escalation with them, and then it lasts for a few weeks, and then they call for a ceasefire, of course, after they shoot the last rocket, and then they say, oh, we won the war. So, but it's a very crowded area. Unemployment is skyrocketing, and it's sad. It's sad, but on the other hand, it's because the way they run it. So we can talk a lot about it, and we will talk more about this issue later on when we will get beyond Beersheba or towards Beersheba. I will talk about some of the populations that we have here that the last 2 years brought some clashes. A little bit about the topography. Israel is quite unique because it's located between 3 continents. On the most south we are connected, you can say, to Africa. Then on the north we are connected to Asia and northeast, and then the Mediterranean is connecting us, you can say, to Europe. But when you talk about tectonic plates, so we are on the seam between 3 tectonic plates, and that's why Israel suffered in the past, now, and probably in the future from major earthquakes. That's what actually formed this kind of country, the shape of it. Many years ago, probably before Abraham, before you can say history was written, there was a major earthquake that caused this long valley that's starting in Turkey, so it's not even beyond the map, and it ended up in Africa, and that is the Rift Valley, or the Rift Valley. And there are 2 tectonic plates that moved northwards, but this one, the eastern one, and you will hear this explanation from Fadi or similar, the east one moved a little bit faster. So some valleys that are over here, we see the parallel one, or not the parallel, but the opposite one on our side. But if you bring it a little bit back, they will fit. So that's how today we know that this side, the eastern tectonic plate, moved a little bit faster, about 150 kilometers further. So it creates a very large rift with the lowest place on Earth, which is the Dead Sea. Another famous lake, which is called the Sea of Galilee, although it's not a sea. But the people that wrote the Bible didn't know the word lake, so they called it a sea. We will spend 3 nights right on the coast of it, right over here, and so it will be quite nice for you to wake up in the morning to see the sunrise, and to go to the beach, because you have free access to the beach over there. It's very rocky, but it's still nice. So this is a world record because it's the lowest fresh water in the world. We're talking about a bit more than 600 feet below sea level, and then this is 1200 feet below sea level. How this sea became so salty? Many years ago, the whole earth was covered with water. We know that, and this area was, on the whole Middle East was covered with a sea that was called Tethys. That's when there were earthquakes and earth started to rise up, that sea got smaller, and we have the left of it is the Mediterranean. But when over here we had a rise of mountains, then water were caught over here, and then slowly when salty water get evaporate, it become more and more concentrated. So today we have 38% of salt in this water, while here in the Mediterranean it's only 4%. So these water are very good for skin problems and things like that, but that's all. And that is one of the main, by the way, the main export of Israel is minerals from the Dead Sea. So Israel and Jordan exporting minerals out of the Dead Sea, minerals that are we are all using it. Anyone here that like fast cars, so you want that your car will be very light. To make the car very light, you need to use magnesium. Magnesium is harvested from here. Fertilizers for agriculture. So Israel is exporting it for South America and other places in the world where fertilizer were washed out from the soil. So you need to replenish it. So we export a lot of magnesium, all different kinds of fertilizers from the Dead Sea. So that's how the Dead Sea was formed. In the center of the country we have a long mountain ridge that today we call it Judea and Samaria. So Samaria in the north and Judea in the south. So the border you can say is Jerusalem. From Jerusalem northwards it's Samaria, Jerusalem southwards we call it Judea, named after the tribes. By the way, we're traveling down south into the tribe of, anyone remember? Don't look at your map, and no Google. Into the territories of Simeon. But Simeon was a small tribe that was, you can say, swallowed by Judah. If we think that today there is a lot of politics, read the Bible again. I mean, the tribes were not saints. Okay? There was a lot of power struggles over there as well. I mean, just a little. Where was Samson from? Or his father? It says that his father was a Danite. The tribe of Dan received this piece of land. But today, we are not going there. But today, Dan is considered to be here. How come they end up over here? And they built even a city, and they called it after their forefather. Why? Because probably the Judahites or the tribe of Judah told them, hey, you're troublemakers. You have too many Samsonites that doing too much trouble. Please go away. And probably they migrate over to there, where it was more fertile and better land for them. But Dan is not here anymore. So you see that there were also politics during the Bible time.
The Samsonites had too much emotional baggage.
And it was also the strongest mobile in biblical times, Samson. We left from Ashdod, which you saw all the boats that were... Did you see at nighttime? It looks like a city. By the way, it's all connected to what is going on. I don't know if you know, but also in LA, there are hundreds of boats that cannot come in. And Santos, Governor Santos says, bring it to me. I know how to unload those boats. But so you saw also the boats over here.
Yes.
Something is going on. China and all that. So these boats are stuck over there, and you saw all of them are low. They are loaded. They just need to wait. They're waiting to be unloaded. So why not unloading them? There's no port that doesn't work on Shabbat. There's a lot of things. There are some people that putting brakes on all kind of things. So Ashdod is one port. Then we have a little bit further down in Ashkelon, we have another new port that was just, you can say, fresh new. Then in the north, on Haifa, here there is a natural gulf. So we have another port that the British built, and it's called the Haifa port. So from here so these two ports are the main ones for export and import. But we have another port down at Eilat. And this is very important for us because that's the way for us to import or export goods from Asia. And that's why we will talk about it later when we'll talk about David Ben-Gurion. For him, during our independence war, it was very important to get Eilat under Israeli heads. So Israel is quite unique in the way it looks. A long country, very hot in the down south. That's why we can have grapes and watermelons all around the year. Very wet over here, and so different climate and different products from the earth. And then we have the center, we have the coastline. So there's a variety of climates. Some people say that we have 4 different climates here in the country, and that it's kind of like the joke, not the joke, but the saying about California, that you can swim with dolphins and see corals at the Dead Sea in the morning. Then you can bathe and do a mud bath at the Mediterranean, at the Dead Sea. You can wash at the Mediterranean and walk on the water on the Sea of Galilee. And if you are in a good day that there is still snow, then you can go all the way to Mount Hermon, the highest mountain that we have in the country, and do skiing in one day. But you need a helicopter for that, to do it so fast. But it is possible to do all these activities in one day, in one country, because God put everything together in one little place. Questions about the map? So while we're traveling, again, you can see that there are a lot of fields of wheat and barley. We grow wheat and barley, but most of it is going for cattle. We import all the wheat that we need for us to eat. So, and that's again connecting to what is going on now in Russia and Ukraine, because Ukraine and Russia were the main suppliers for Europe and also for us. So we'll see what will happen with that. I don't know if you noticed, but there were children that were a little bit noisy at the dining room yesterday and the day before. Some hotels all over the country are hosting Ukrainian Jews that are refugees, you can say. So, so at the hotel there are 20 families that are Ukrainians. Yeah. So it's sad. I mean, they look like us, they dress like us, and everything. But trying to imagine, they don't know what is going on with their homes. And if you look at footage from Ukraine, it doesn't look too good over there. But they don't speak Hebrew. No. Some of them, I don't know how much they are connected to their Jewishness. So they are here. Israel is doing it out of humanitarian aid. We also opened a hospital, a field hospital in Ukraine, and Israeli doctors and nurses are there doing all kind of surgeries and whatever need to be done. So also when there was the war, there is still the war with Syria, and some of the fights were right next to the border with Israel. Israel built a field hospital right on our border, and then whenever there were casualties on the Syrian side, we made them know, hey, you can come to here. We are not friends, you can say we're enemies, but the oath that doctors are taking is to help anyone. And that's the amazing thing here, that you can see that sometimes we have terroristic attacks, explosions or stabbing and whatever. And let's say, unfortunately, last week we had 3 incidents with casualties, but let's say someone pulled a gun and shot the terrorist that was stabbing. When the medics are coming, if he is more wounded than the other ones, they will take care first of him, the attacker, and then of the people that are less wounded. That's how it works over here. So, and again, I'm not judging, but there was one time there was an attack in Texas, and the Texan said, "Here we shoot first, then we check who is guilty and who is not." So, and it was recorded. So here the medics are that's their oath, and they know that. I mean, later we'll take him to court and everything, but first, life doesn't matter who it is, are number one. That's how God created it. For the season, everywhere. I mean, Germany and Holland had 2 weeks ago 20 degrees, 80s. They were in the 80s and that's not. It's not common for this time of the year in Germany and Holland. And now they're having snow. And here we had a very long season of rain, a lot of snow in the north. I mean, it's crazy. And that's why you see this area where we travel now, it's already the northern part of the Negev. This is desert. And but you can see it's all green and blossoming because of a lot of rain that came down. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's good, but we will talk about it later on with Ben Gurion. But so it is good, but it's what you're supposed to see is desert. So praise the Lord, we see green, but a lot of things are going on now, and I don't know how much you're going into those things, but it's interesting to see how things are changing, and we're living in very exciting times. Some of those fields are, as you can see, start to be harvested, because some of it needs to go and be wrapped down for food, for cattle. But when it will start to get a little bit yellowish, and this is a good picture for what Jesus said, that the fields are ready and there are not enough, the harvest is ready but there are not enough workers. Unfortunately, every once in a while the people from the terrorists from Gaza, and Gaza is not far away from, I mean, we cannot see it today because of the haze, but it's not far away, and what they do is they take a cluster of balloons, they fill it with helium gas, and then a wire, and then a metal wire, and then they attach to the wire either a hand grenade, or that they took the safety, you say, the pin, or they attach to it a cloth that they dip in diesel, and then they put it on fire. So, and you know, diesel burn long time, so it's not like benzene that will have a flame and that's it. And then they let it go with the wind. Now the wind most of the time is from the west towards the east, and so they let this cluster of balloons to go, and a lot of these fields are put on fire. So at the moment it's all green, so it will not catch, but the last few years they destroyed acres and acres and acres of harvest that was just burned. So the farmers try to harvest it as quick as possible, sometimes even before it's all ready, just not to lose more on the fire. So
I have a question.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of Gaza Strip, if they're so crowded, are they allowed to leave and go elsewhere, or do they just not want to leave?
So because it's good if you have questions. By the way, when we are walking around and I'm talking and you have a question, if it's something private that you want to share, keep in mind that the mic is open. But I will, if it's not a private question, I will repeat questions. So there was a question about the Gaza Strip. If the people from there, are they allowed to leave Gaza? It's a complicated situation. So the only way for them to leave is to cross on a land border with Egypt, into Egypt, and then to fly from there. The thing is that where they can go, because no one wants them in general.
So they cannot come into Israel.
Some of them do come to Israel to work. These are people that have a permit, working permit. Some of them come illegally to work, and sometimes using their permit or their escape to do wrong things like attacking. And many are coming for medicinal help. Israel is offering it. You won't hear about it because why to publish good things? But many of them are coming and getting treatment in the hospitals in Israel. Most of it will be for children, because the medical standard in the Gaza Strip is not as good as, I mean, they have hospitals, but unfortunately because of the situation there, the Hamas is investing the money that they get from the UN and the EU. They're investing it in tunnels and smuggling weapons instead of building hospitals and schools and education and health ministry. So that's why they need to come here. And there are a lot of stories of people that came and got help, and they thought that Israel is the doctors are going to butcher their children and to steal organs and things like that, and that's what you will read as fake news. I mean, I know Trump started with that word fake news, but it's not. It's true. I mean, people are spreading all kind of big lies about Israel, and then people get into fear and act with according to it. So we didn't steal any organs, and we just help them and send them back. And even people from Iraq that doesn't speak, their Arabic is different. Do you know? I don't know if you know, but in the Middle East, they all speak Arabic, but it's different dialects of Arabic. So in Iraq and Syria, they speak different Arabic than in Hebron and Bethlehem. And in Hebron and Bethlehem, they speak a little bit different Arabic than the Bedouins that we will see later, and the Gaza people. So they all speak Arabic. They can understand one another, but it's like British are saying denims and you say jeans. So, but now you know the denims are jeans, but actually not everybody know that. So the same with Arabic. So there are people from Iraq that are crossing the border through Syria. It's all done quietly. Usually it's the parent with a child. Then the child is getting treated here. They put a translator with them the whole time that they are here. And of course we're hosting it. It's sponsored by all kind of organizations, but the doctors are treating the child, and then he go back, and that's the way to tell Israel is not a demon. Israel is not satanic. But unfortunately, that's what they are told over there. So herds of flocks of sheep, sometimes maybe even a camel or two, donkeys, and people that live like that. You know, just over there you can see there's a flock of sheep and no, you cannot see the goats. So these people that live in those small communities, these are what we call the Bedouins. And Bedouins are nomadic. People used to be nomadic, and as you can see, they are settling, and they live in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Israel. And they just follow the season, and they have flocks of sheep, goats, and camels, and then they move around according to the grass and water. So here in Israel, they are in the Negev, most of them living here in the south in the Negev, and they made, you can say, a commitment with the first government of Israel, and that's again connecting us to David Ben-Gurion later on, to be loyal and to serve in the Israeli army. Nice. But you waited for that. So they are Muslims. The thing is that they are not extreme Muslims. They are not practicing it really like others. But lately they start to become more fanatic. And at the moment it's even on the stage of Israel don't know what to do, because many of them served in the Israeli army, and many of them making their income from smuggling, because they know the desert so well, and the border with Egypt was not secured really tight for many years. So what happened is that they used those roads to smuggle weapons, drugs, women. At the moment the border is tight. We built a very big fence over there, like what you should do with Mexico, and so it stopped. They have hard time to smuggle, but still they succeed here and there. So at the moment it's there's a little bit of tension between their population, or some of their population, and the Israelis. The government came with all kind of ideas, and they built for them a city. You can see it on your right. This is the largest city that they have. It's called Rahat, R-A-H-A-T, Rahat. It was not a success, but it's still a city. So it's functioning as a city, but it was not succeeding as the people that planned it thought that it would succeed. we will pass next to some other towns of them, and so I will mention more. You'll see they have camels. Today they don't use the camel. In the past they used the camels as a truck. That was their Chevy or Ford 350. The thing is that Ford 350 can carry much more than a camel. So today, and they are not traveling anymore. They used to travel with long convoys, and we will see later on a very detailed map that show the traveling of those nomadic people. But today they are not traveling anymore, so the camels are for food. In Israel we don't eat camels, but they do eat camels, and they eat sheep and goats. So that's why they have the camels today, or for tourism. But that's tiny percents of income. Talking about food, I spoke about it a little bit, but just that you know, in Israel, most of the hotels are running under the, you can say, rabbinical law, which means that, or the biblical law. So God forbid Israel to eat certain animals. One of them is the pig, and that therefore we won't see in the hotels or restaurants that are running under this law. We will not see any product from pig. So no bacon, no sausages, because we don't eat it. And then there is another law, which is a rabbinical law, not to eat meat and dairy at the same meal. So at breakfast you will see a lot of types of cheese and vegetables and fruits and pastries, but there will be no meat. Fish is okay. At dinner there will be pasta and potatoes and salads and all kind of salty pastries, but without cheese. Okay, so that's the difference. In Jordan you might see some sausages at breakfast, but it won't be sausages with pork. It will be sausages either turkey or chicken, because Jordan is a Muslim country, and then they also don't eat pork. It's actually, if you want to say an insult word to an Arab, if you say to him the word for pig in Hebrew or in Arabic, that's a big insult. So sometimes when there are clashes, there are people that take a head of a pig from a slaughterhouse and throw it into a mosque. And so the same fights that people used to do in the biblical times exist till today. Religions didn't change. That's the best thing about our faith, that faith is made by God. Religion made by people. So, and above the lake and below the lake, also it's very green. It's called the Jordan Valley because of the Jordan River that run into the lake and out of the lake. So you can say that Israel looked from above like a snake that swallowed an egg. Now, in Europe, there are billions of birds that are in the beginning of the autumn. When it starts to get cold, they leave Europe and they start to migrate. Partly they do over the Mediterranean, and the first land that they see is the land of Israel. They stop, they eat, they get fat again, and then they continue their migration down to Africa. And they go to Africa, to the Great Lakes over there, and then they spend the winter down there where there is enough mosquitoes and other things that they eat over there. And then in the beginning of the autumn, around the end of February, March, during March, April, they migrate back to Europe, again stopping here and making their way to Europe to lay eggs. And many times they come with their first, not chick, chick, right? You say that, and that's how they will learn the journey. So for bird watchers, Israel is a heaven, and it's a known place for people that are watching birds, because this is the largest migration route in the world of birds. And we're talking about all kinds of birds, from very small ones to the super big ones, like the storks, the cranes, egrets, and many other types that are, some of them are day migrates and some of them are evening migrates. Last week there was a big group of them stuck in the north because there were no hot days. There were a lot of cold days, and their migration depend on thermic temperature. No, but when hot air start to
thermals.
You can say turbulence, but when hot air start to circle, then they glide on it, and then it will take them up, and then they will. It have a word. Thermals. Yeah. So they looking for thermals. But last week we had a lot of cold days, so they were stuck, and people wrote, "Hey, if you see those birds on the side, it may, try to help them." And because they are stuck without not enough food, and sometimes they are cold because they are not used to that. So there is a wild animals hospitals also here in Israel that will try to help those wild birds or animals, and then they migrate, and then they will continue north towards Europe. So it's quite interesting, and when we will be in the north, we might see some of these birds migrating. But I started to talk about those eucalyptus trees. These ones are not eucalyptus; these are pine and not cedar. Cypress, yes. But the other ones were planted to collect water. So they plant the tree and they make a little trench ahead of it down the hill, and then the water will be collected in that trench, and it will feed the tree, and the tree will provide shade. But also trees are attracting humidity, and that's how we can make the Negev to get green, as you see around here. The big city that you see is Beersheba. Okay, so we made quite a trip already, and Beersheba is known to you from the story of Abraham, and we will drive by the Tel. T-E-L is the word for ancient mountain, man-made mountain, that in the years when it was active, then people lived on the Tel. So cities were not as big as what we see today. Cities were much smaller, and it's called Tel in Hebrew, but also in any other language. So even if you go home and you tell a friend that knows something about archaeology, "Oh, I saw Tel so and so," he will know what you're talking about. So we will pass by Tel Beersheba or Tel Sheva, and that's considered to be the place where Abraham lived, and later on also Isaac. But today Beersheba is here to your right. It's also one of the largest, one of the large cities in Israel. There is a very known university here called the Ben Gurion University, named after David Ben Gurion. This university is they put on their target high tech and cyber. So there are a lot of high-tech companies that are dealing with cyber that are located over here, and the government is trying to encourage more and more companies to move down to here, to the Negev, and they get you can say discount on or sometimes that they will get the land for free. Just bring your facilities down to here.
He's building something there. Yeah.
So if you look to the front left, you see the high power cable towers, and then you see there is a hill over there with something on the top of the hill, like scaffoldings on the top of the hill. You'll see it in a moment better. That's the ancient Beersheba. That's where there is still a well that considered to be the well that Abraham dug, and that's also the spot where the Australians and New Zealanders in the First World War attacked Beersheba, that was under the the Turks and won over. So here, now you can see it's very clear. The little hill over there, that's ancient Beersheba. That's and the archaeological evidence from there, and I mean there's no argument between the archaeologists that this is ancient Beersheba. Yeah, there was a camel with a female camel with a baby. Again, you can see that the Beersheba is developing more and more, and there is a large hospital. Beersheba is considered to be the capital of the Negev. So whoever needs to renew his passport, driving license, IKEA, any other government offices. So they can come here. They don't need to travel all the way to Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. Beersheba giving quite a good answer for whatever people need. Most of the population in Israel live in condos. We call it apartments, but most of the population live in condos. There was a good question, do they own them? Many people own them, but most renting. And that's the big problem now, that young adults or people that are in the people between 20 and 30 in Israel are getting married. And couple that getting married in that age without the help of their parents or grandparents or inheritance, they will never have a chance to buy an apartment. The apartments here in Israel are so expensive that they don't have, and that's what the government tried to do, to encourage constructors to build, but to leave about 10% of their apartments in a price that young couples can afford. So it's called affordable apartments, and so it's a big problem for young couples. There was a question about what is the average age here. Compared to America, it's we are younger. Yes, sir?
What is the average? How many shekels would be average
apartment?
Yeah.
3 days? So, not 3 million. 3 million, you get a very, very good condo. I mean, really, really good. So average one will be between 1 to 1.5 million, 1.6 million shekel. But then you get the houses here are smaller than if you compare it to America. I mean, when we talk about square feet, it's smaller than in America. And we're talking about a living room, which is considered to be a room. So an apartment that have a living room and 2 rooms is called a 3-room apartment. Okay? So today the standard is to have 2 bathrooms or at least 2 toilets and 1 bathroom in the small apartments. And then bigger apartments might have a parents unit, which is a larger, you can say, bedroom with its own bathroom and toilet. And then the rest of the apartment will have, let's say, 3 or 4 bedrooms and then one bathroom with a toilet. So the sizes here are different. An apartment, I know for Americans when I say apartment or condo, it's different. But when I say apartment, I mean we're not talking about if you are owning it or renting it. But for a condo, if you have 1,200 or 1,300 feet, that's a very nice size. And I know houses in America or in Texas, 3,000 is like, that's all what you got? So here in Israel, people are very happy if they have 13,000 feet, 13 square feet house. That's very nice. Yes, sir. I mean, there was someone.
Yeah. So per capita income.
What is the income? The minimum wage is about $1,500. That's the minimum wage, and we are working Sunday till Thursday. Some places working also Friday, half a day, like until 12 or 2. So that's based on 5 working days, 8 hours a day. So it's about between $1,000 to $1,500 a month. So we calculate here by a month. So I know in America you calculate per year. We do it per month, how much you earn per month. And then average salary is about 8,000 shekels. So it's about 2,000, 2,200, and that will be average salary.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
so
I deny all what I said 2 years ago. Yeah. So Jerry reminded me that when you purchase an apartment here in Israel, so you go to the constructor and you see the plan of the building, and then he will tell you, okay, I have an apartment on the 3rd floor and I have one on the 4th floor that is facing to the east. Doesn't matter. But when you start the process, after you choose the apartment, you need to go to the municipality or to an agency of the government and purchase the house or the paperwork. The house or the land that the house is built on belong to the government. So on the contract it says that it's leased for 99 years. Okay? So there are very, very few people in the country that owning the land that their home is on. Most of the land in the country is government land. So anyone here is 99? No. So now look around. Is it different than what we saw so far? It's all becoming, because we are going further and further south, less and less rain. That's why it's less and less green. And still you see those Bedouins living all around. They live in those shacks. They used to be nomadic, but they are not anymore. And that's the problem. That when they used to be nomadic, no one really cared where they are and what. But now when they're settling, the moment they settle and they put a fence and they build and they plant a tree and they build a mosque, that's it. You cannot uproot them. And there is a big argument at the moment in our government, our political arena is very, very feisty, you say?
Yes.
Because the current government that we have made, which the Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, he was from the ultra-right. And he made all kind of deals under the table with a Muslim party just to build a government. And at the moment we have a Muslim party in our government, and they are fighting for these people to make all these shacks, to make them legal, to provide for them electricity, water, and all what they need while they are illegal. So it's a little bit this issue is a little bit hot at the moment. It's a hot potato, and I saw few when a newspaper or they calling and say, if there will be elections, what you'll vote? Polling. So they did some polling, and if there will be elections now, this government will be gone with the wind, because people are really fed up with, the way they act. So I asked my wife if she wants to. She said no. So who? No. They live how they make money. They have those herds of sheep and goats. They some of them work. They travel to Beersheba or other places to work. Not normal jobs. Some of them are unfortunately got into crime, so they're smuggling drugs and weapons and selling them illegally. Some of them, I must say on their behalf, the ones that have a desire, they went and study, and there are doctors in Beersheba hospital because they can give service to their people. And some of them open a clinic in those shacks, and they take care of children and pregnant women and other people. So there are good people among them, but unfortunately there are too little. We need more of those good people that will go and study and change and do a revolution in this society. Unfortunately, this society still live the past while they are going forward to a dark future. If this is not a future to raise your children in such a way.
They go to school.
They go to school, but many times they skip school. They go to school. They go to school of life.
Yes, yes. School of hard knocks.
Caballero.
So there was another question that probably will interest others. What is the education system in Israel? So kindergarten from the third year. So from age 3, you have to go by law to send your child to be in a kindergarten that is authorized by the government. So you can say he's in the system until the age of 6. Then he will go to the first grade, 6 till age 6 till the 6th grade. So it's elementary school, and then he will go to high school. So and then at the age of 18, something that no one asked yet, so thank you for asking, what you do then? Then we go to the army.
Yes.
And it's mandatory here. So you have to go from 2 years for the ladies.
Yes.
For the gentlemen, it's 3 years. And in my time, but also today, those youth have about a year before they start to get papers from the army, and they do all kind of testing to see maybe some of them are super smart and super intelligent. They can go to be tested to be a pilot, and then so they will be started that procedure. Some of them maybe will go to the subs. So they get all kind of tests, and then at the age of 18 they will go to the we say army, but what I mean is military, because in America it's divided into those 3 branches. Here in Israel it's all under one command. So there is head of the army or head of the military, and under him there is the head of the Air Force, the head of the Navy, the head of the army, the head of the Marine. We don't have Marines, but the tanks or the artillery, all of them are under one head of the army. And this head of the army, he responds to the Minister of Defense, that responds to the Prime Minister. Okay, so that's the hierarchy. The president in Israel is a figure that is just shaking hands and go to nice cocktails. And I mean, the one that we have now is nice. I don't agree with his political agenda, but he doesn't have an agenda. He shouldn't have. But he was trying to run to be a prime minister, but he didn't succeed. But he's the son of someone that was a president. So I respect him for that. His father was a president. Maybe some of you remember him. He's the one that in the UN, he tear off a paper and he said, that's what we think in Israel about the resolution. I will find that video, and you see that he's standing in the UN, and he said, he talked about the Jewish nation and and then he said, and that's what we think about your resolution, and he tear it off over there, and he left the stage, and everybody standing up and and cheering him. By your help, this base was built. It's a brand new, not brand new, but it's quite a new base. A lot of our military bases were spread all over the country, and now they put it all, not all of them, but the training ones they put here. So this is a very, very large training base for soldiers that are in the beginning of their training, mainly for field field infantry, artillery, intelligence, where they need to learn how to camouflage and to shoot and all that. So a lot of that is done here. Basic training. So this is the major place for basic training. say northwest to south, and we're crossing now the Negev desert. So you can see that the plants are totally different. These are plants that can survive the whole year with very, very little water. Those yellow flowers, they will be here for a few more days or weeks, and then they will dry out. And that's the beauty about what is going on here in the desert, that a little bit of rain and then everything is blossoming for a short time, producing seeds and die again. Now, you might ask, what is this pillar in the front? Now it's in the front right, that is shining. And that is a new power station that is working on water and vapor, and not gas, but vapor. Yeah. So that pillar is 250 meter high, so almost 1,000 feet high. And then there's a mirror on the top. No, well, there is a container of water, and then all around that pillar there are few hundreds of mirrors that are curved, and those mirrors are moving with sensors according to the movement of the sun, and then they will reflect towards that container that is on the top, and that the beam will heat the water to such a temperature that it will become vapor, and then it will turn turbines, and it provide electricity to the whole Negev. So it's a new here. Now you can see it's shining. So it will it works so far. And Israel is moving towards solar and renewable energy. So the future will be probably solar and windmills. By the way, this is already the wilderness of Zin. I know that this is one of the subjects that Don and Jerry will talk about, but this is already considered to be the wilderness of Zin. And those communities that you see live around, these are what we call kibbutz. K-I-B, sometimes you see it with two B's, so K-I-B-B-U-T-Z or T-S. And kibbutz coming from the word in Hebrew lekabetz, to get together. And these are groups of people that got together and formed community that live together. I will stop here because very soon we get to our destination, and then we will continue more to talk about it there, because where we go, Sde Boker, is where David Ben-Gurion lived, our first prime minister, and he was part of that kibbutz. So we will talk more about kibbutz over there, how they live and what they do. But you can see that they have a chicken farm, and sometimes they have cattle or other different livestock that they raise. And then sometimes they grow. Most of the kibbutzim have also large agriculture facilities, and they grow. Here in the Negev they will grow peanuts, potatoes, moringa, olives for oil, pistachio, and even there is a place that grow shrimp, the tiger shrimp. So they drilled for water, and they get into groundwater, high level of groundwater, but the water were brackish. So the process to filter this water will be so expensive that it's not worth. But they came to the idea that shrimp can survive this water and can actually do well. So the thing is that shrimp is not kosher in Israel. So, but they came to the point of raising or growing tiger shrimp, which is very, very wanted in the restaurants in Europe. So they have containers, and they above the ground, and in the middle of the desert they raise shrimp and then export it to Europe. So sometimes restaurants in Europe can get fresh shrimp in few hours, because there are again, a lot of what I'm sharing with you is what was before the corona. I don't know if many of these businesses, because I'm sure that also in America, I mean, I hear from friends that not a lot of small businesses survived. So
See that bike in the car?
That's important.
so you can see on your left, on your right now, that pillar. I don't think that we will be able to see the mirrors, but you can see that that pillar is being. You can see the beams. It's nice now because of the dust in the air. You can see the beams quite nice. Now, because 74% of Israel is desert, so a lot of it is used, or not a lot, but some of it is used for the military to practice. And here is another military base. This one is of the anti-aircraft. The last 20 years, the government is encouraging whoever can to move down to the Negev, to this area, and to build what we called agriculture farm, where you can grow whatever you want as long as it's legal, and the government will give you the land for free. The thing is that again, politics coming in, and those Bedouins, whatever they do and all the illegal farming that they do is okay, but when a small young couple that wants to take a hill and to turn it into a little heaven and to sell things, then all the bureaucracy coming on, and then they cannot survive it. Some did, and there is here one on the hill to your left. This farm, they raise goats, specific goats that they search for in Africa, goats that can handle the weather over here, and they do quite well. You won't find their cheese on the supermarkets. It's what we call gourmet, so it's only certain shops will hold their cheese, but they have very nice cheese that they make from those goats. And it's interesting because when you go there, not with a large group, but when you go there just individually, they can explain of how it works, because the goats would produce different milk according to the season and if they are before birth or after birth. So the milk will taste different. So it's nice to, and also they depend a lot on what the goats will eat. So it's quite nice. The riverbeds here are all dry, but every once in a while in the winter we can get here flash floods. So like in Arizona you can get flash floods, and it can be dangerous. Also here it can be dangerous, but not, we always get a warning, so no one go traveling when there are flash floods. But the scenery that you look around without the power lines, that's the scenery that the Israelites saw when they were crossing the desert.
That's amazing.
And we do know today that the climate was probably a little bit different, so they had what to eat and what to drink. Here's another shepherd to your left, with some goats and sheep. Usually they don't herd sheep and goats together. Usually sheep alone and goat alone. They behave differently. The Bible talks a lot about that.
Goats on the
You probably heard the term the land of milk and honey.
Yes.
So now you understand. Milk was produced on the mountains with Deuteronomy chapter 11. It's a very nice verses that God says. Don will read it in a moment. Where God says, "I'm going to bring you." I will say it in. Have you heard about the NYV? It's the new Yuval version. So God said, "I will bring you to a land of mountains and valleys, and I will provide for you the rain and the water that you need. So just trust on me." Unfortunately, it didn't hold for too long, the issue of trust, but God is taking care of everything. So it's wonderful to look around and to see there's desert, but there's also green areas.
So from Deuteronomy chapter 11, it says, beginning at verse 8, "You shall therefore keep the whole commandment that I command you today, that you may be strong, and go and take possession of the land that you're going over to possess, and that you may live long in the land that the Lord swore to your fathers to give to them and to their offspring, a land flowing with milk and honey. The land that you're entering to take possession of is not like the land of Egypt, from which you come, where you sowed your seed and irrigated it like a garden of vegetables. But the land that you're going over to possess is a land of hills and valleys, which drinks water by the rain from heaven. The land the Lord your God cares for. The eyes of the Lord your God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year."
And that's exactly what is going on. God is taking care of the land that He promised. And thank you, Don, for reading. So you can see again those small farms. Grapes succeed here quite well, and they produce also nice wine. So some of those farmers, they do organic grow, and they so here is another farm on the right. And usually they will depend on family, so it will be just a young couple or a family farm and volunteers, or very few workers. And many of them also build like a tipi, and and many Israelis like to come and spend the weekend just over here. So just in the desert, quiet and no disturbance.